to stay in the Torah and memory of? So in this week's parsha we are told Hashem commands Moshe to take revenge from the Midianites, and then he can pass away. And what does Hashem say? Hashem tells Moshe, take the revenge of the Jewish people. But when Moshe goes and tells the Jewish people, he says, Lo seis nikmas Hashem b'Midyan, to take the revenge of Hashem. So what were they taking? Revenge of the Jewish people, revenge of Hashem.
You attack the Jews, you attack Hashem.
So the Medrash asked this question and explained there's an underlying dialogue between Hashem and Moshe. For this, Hashem was telling Moshe the revenge is a response to the insult to the Jewish nation's honor. So the vengeance is for the Bnei Yisrael. Moshe said that if the Yidden were idolaters and were uncircumcised and sinners, the Midianites wouldn't have hated them. They hated them because they're Yidden and they're keeping Torah mitzvahs. The only cause of the Midianites to attack was because of the Torah mitzvahs given to them by Hashem. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu was saying it's Niklas Hashem, it's the vengeance of Hashem. The Kli Yakar explains as well, the Midianites were doing two evils here. One was against Hashem. They caused the Yidden to transgress the sins of idolatry and immorality. The second was against the Jews themselves because there was a terrible plague that annihilated 24,000 Jews. Hashem told Moshe, I forgive the Midianites for their sin against me. However, the sin they committed against the Jewish people, the 24,000, take vengeance for the children of Israel against the Midianites. But since Hashem told Moshe, afterwards you will be gathered unto your people, you will pass away. Moshe understood his death was conditional on this vengeance against the Midianites. He realized if the Jewish people knew that his death was conditional, they would refuse to do it. The hope that their beloved leader Moshe would live longer. They would say, just as Hashem forgave them for his honor, we'll forgive them as well for our honor. At least temporarily, we'll take revenge later. So Moshe reworded Hashem's words to the Yidden that it was the Hashem's vengeance. He didn't tell them that Hashem said it was their vengeance, because the Jews hearing this wouldn't want to delay Hashem's honor. They would go and fight. That's an interesting Kli Yakar. So when describing the actual offensive of the Jewish army against Midian, the Torah tells us, "Vayitzpu HaMidyan kasher tziva Hashem es Moshe v'yargu kol zachar." They massed against Midian as Hashem had commanded Moshe, and they killed every male. So the Midrash Sifri explains what does it mean. What did they do as Hashem commanded Moshe? The Torah is telling us how the Yidden surrounded the Midianite cities. When besieging the Midianites in preparation for war, they didn't totally encircle the city, surrounding them on all four sides. Instead, the Bnei Yisrael laid a siege only around 3 of the walls. They left the 4th side open and unguarded. That's how Hashem commanded Moshe. When instructing them how they were to wage war, they left one side open. But the Jewish people doing so, any Midianite who preferred not to do battle would have an avenue of escape, a path through which they could run away unharmed. And the Netziv points out that this way of learning the Psukim allows us to understand how Midian was able to survive many years after this battle. Even though the Torah says they killed every male, now that we're saying that they actually left one side open, they only encircled 3, not 4, some of the men of the city must surely have taken advantage of the opportunity to run away. So the Torah's account, they killed every male, means that the males who remained in the city, the ones who fled, were spared and they came back and rebuilt their country. The Ramban says that this is a mitzvah in general here, how to wage war. Not just now Midian, but the Jewish people, whenever waging war, should leave one side open. The Big Day Kahuna suggests the word kasher tziva, that it's a permanent mitzvah. Why it's omitted from the list of 6 mitzvahs is another story. The Megillah Esther says that the Rambam considers this law to be included in the general mitzvah of waging war. What is the reason we have to do this? The Torah is reminding us that even in time of war, and Israel of course is doing this, when we're battling against an enemy to conquer their territory, we have to remember to act with compassion towards every human being. Even though we're rightfully fighting to conquer an enemy's land, we have to be aware of the fact that pointless carnage is wrong. The objective of a war of conquest is not to kill all the combatants. If the inhabitants would rather flee than fight, and we can still be able to achieve our objective of conquering the city with less bloodshed, we're required to allow them to do so. The Smag as well mentions this law together with the obligation to offer a surrender agreement to a city or nation before we attack it. If the nation will agree to live as Jewish subjects by accepting and agreeing to live by the 7 Noachide laws, there's no reason to forcibly wage war and kill or maim large numbers of people. As well, the Ramban says, another reason why we did this, why we left this open, is a practical idea. Ramban notes, we're commanded to leave one side of the city open for escape. The Torah is concerned with the safety of the Jewish attackers. If we're pushing people into a corner, when a person becomes desperate, he finds inner strength to accomplish great things that are far beyond what he's able to do under normal circumstances. Many of the feats of survival and courage during times of war are achieved by otherwise ordinary people. The sheer necessity of the moment propelled them to rise up to great heights. So if the Jewish army would be permitted to fully encircle an enemy city, it's very possible that the inhabitants would see they have no escape. They would be motivated by their own will to survive. It's part of the problem, I think, in Gaza. They're stuck there. If they had a way to get out, they would have all left.
No, they moved them to the other side.
So that's why we left it open. To ensure that it wouldn't happen, to help the Jewish army be successful, not put them into a corner where they're going to do crazy things, and the Torah mandates we leave one side. This is the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, one side of a city unguarded to allow an enemy easy retreat. This way, the desperation that often breeds great valiancy will never come to be. Most people, faced with a choice between fleeing or fighting, will instinctively choose the easier path of flight. The invading Jewish army would benefit by easily capturing the city. That's something interesting. It's a shame that they're literally stuck in Gaza. I think if it was open and they had where to run, they would have all ran away already.
But there was no